On this episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Taylor Zaun, who's currently a private practice therapist for individuals, families, and couples. We put this episode together to strictly give you practical things you can do daily at home to help your mental health and also others around you. Taylor gave us a ton of takeaways to, just better ourselves. Be sure to tune in and learn from Taylor Zaun, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast. We back, and I'm here with one of my really good friends, Taylor Zaun. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, and it is so exciting to be here.
I'm happy to have you on. I've been chasing you down, then life got busy, then I got back in touch with you, then you got busy. No, I'm kidding.
Life has a way of getting busy, doesn't it?
No, but I'm really excited to have Taylor on. Personally, because I need my own free therapy session. She can send me the bill. I probably won't pay it, but also just for her expertise in her field. She is currently a licensed, marriage and family therapist. Got it right. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. But I'm excited to have you on. I definitely want to just pick your brains and have you help some people today. You ready to help the Minds community?
I'll do the best I can. I don't know how much I have to offer, but we'll talk it out.
We're not worried about that. We know we're going to get help. So, no, I do appreciate you taking the time in this season of life. So, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor.
Yes, sir. Ma'am. I'm terrible. I sound like...
hey, you caught it, though. That's the thing. You caught it.
I did. I caught myself out. That's what you got, a self-correction. So... I want to get things going with the icebreaker, and then we're going to jump right into you, and then we're going to jump right into Zaun's free therapy session.
Awesome.
So, icebreaker question for this episode is, if you had one superpower, what would it be and why?
That's a good icebreaker. I think I'm going to just go with what hit my head right away, and we're going to roll with it. I think I would have the power to talk to animals.
Taylor Doolittle.
You could Taylor Doolittle. That's it. The reason I say that is because, I'm in a season where I have 2 dogs, so I'm trying to figure the whole dog thing out, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I never know what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and they're crazy, and I just want to ask them, what's going through your mind?
I was not expecting that.
Hey, it's the first thing that popped in my head.
I like that. No, I like that.
I could expand on that because oftentimes in therapy we talk about how dogs or animals actually do a lot better than people at just being with. So we could take it the therapy route, but that's just the first thing that hit my head. Yeah,
so you trying to hand out therapy dogs to everybody.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to do. Go see Taylor if you want a dog. You're going to have to pay for it, though.
We have free plays with my dogs, Eden and Sable, in the backyard.
Yeah. You can borrow them. Just got to bring them back home, or Drew not going to like that.
Exactly.
Drew not going to like that. No, that's funny. I like that. I was not thinking.
It was kind of a left
I love it.
Hook there. It was unexpected.
I love it. It was very unexpected. I was expecting you to say something like mind reading. But you want to do that with animals. No, you don't want to know what us humans are thinking.
Yeah, with my profession, I think that the last superpower I would want is mind reading. I just prefer to ask the question.
And that's me. And that's me assuming she would just rather just know instead of asking because people are so reserved. But no, that's hilarious. It's definitely to the left curve in there. But all right, let's quick get into you. I just first want to know, how long have you been practicing, and where are you at what do you feel you're at in your journey right now as a therapist?
Yeah, so I have been practicing now. It's been around, I've been at a private practice in Des Moines for almost 3 years. Yep, called Family Legacy Counseling.
Nice.
I had 2 years of grad school where I did my pre-practicum and saw clients at a clinic setting in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and then transitioned to Des Moines, and I've been seeing clients there for, it's been about 3.5 years. Yep.
When did you know that you want to help people, you want to listen to people's problems, and then you want to give them solutions? When did you know?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like God had the design for me to do this in some capacity since I was little. Just in how I'm gifted and just some of the things that I'm drawn to. People have always fascinated me.
Yeah.
I love hearing people's stories, collecting stories, connecting with people, entering into the messiness.
Yeah.
That's always been something that I've noticed regardless of the job or the position or which team I'm on. I've always loved that. I would say specifically with marriage and family therapy, it was kind of like a weird winding road to get here. I played volleyball at Iowa State in college, and I was going in for nutrition, and that was my goal, right? And I was hardcore for it,
I need a nutritionist.
And it didn't work out the way I was planning, and so kind of through holding space for volleyball and being an athlete and also getting my degree, my major got switched to psychology. And that's where, right, I remember my first class was a motivational psych course. And I was just in there because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And my academic advisor said, hey, psychology might be good.
Yeah.
And I fell in love just learning about people. And from there, I actually worked corporate for 2 years outside of college. I quickly learned it was not the right fit for my skill set.
Corporate America.
But it has opened doors for me to have a lot of compassion for people who work in corporate America.
Yeah, you get a lot of probably see a lot of families from there, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think we could talk about the work stressors and what work life in America looks like, and it's different for everyone. But I think through that, I realized it's not for me. Yeah. Along with that kind of coinciding with a lot of trauma in my life personally that was starting to come up. I was starting to see my own therapist personally working through that I realized, I think there's a space for me in this field to extend that same space for someone else that was extended to me at a time I needed it. Yeah.
Well, I would say to you, if somebody got a friend that's a therapist, so Taylor's actually a really good friend of mine. The job you do with listening, it's I've never seen anything like it. I can tell that's your job because I'll be telling the story and anybody be telling the story when I'm around and I just see and you just yeah. I'm we don't listen like that no more. So we don't listen like that no more. So that's what I've learned from you. And that was part of you when you came into the group. That's when I started to take my year of listening. I'm going to sit back and listen to people. You kind of help inspire me to take that route. So I do appreciate your listening skills and just hearing what other people got to say instead of just, oh, this is about me. This is what I'm going through. This, that, and the third, which you have those things. But the way you listen, I think, is one of your best qualities that I see. And how much did you have to work at that, or was that just a gift from God from day one? You always been the teammate that listened to the girls' van and listening to everybody drama and mess. So walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. It's interesting, and thank you for saying that because I've learned so much from you. I remember there was one time we were all hanging out and you just said, hey, I'm just going to be an observer today. I'm just going to listen. I'm just here and take it all in. Yeah. And that was cool. That was really cool to me to see that. I think it's a both and. I think it's always been something that comes natural to me, just with my family system and kind of how my family system operates for listeners. And also too, it is a skill that takes practice. Yes. And it's kind of a lost art. And it's funny, I say the superpower of dogs. A collective story I hear often is, hey, I love my pet because they're just there for me. They don't try to help me. They don't offer advice. They just sit and listen. And there's power to that. Absolutely. I think there's a healing power to that is underestimated. Yeah.
And most of us beings I think you're spot on with that. We just want to be heard. And to have somebody listen to you can be life changing. It's one thing I learned in my new marriage is that when Sam is telling me this, that, and the third about how terrible or how great work is, she don't want me to come up with a solution. She just want me to sit there, take it on the chin, and be like, okay, you figure it out on your own. She feel a lot better than when she's come home and she doing this, and I'm like, this is what I would have did.
Yeah.
She not trying to hear that.
And it's so counterintuitive, isn't it? Because you're thinking, but I'm offering you a solution.
I'm trying to give you help.
Right.
You don't want my help.
Right, but the best help is just to sit here and listen.
I learned that the hard way, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It is a skill. It's really, really hard. There's one particular topic I wanted to talk with you about, and go to my questions here. We're in this world right now where a lot of people need therapy and self-care. You saw Ian's what would you call it, graph at church?
Oh,
He's the numbers guy.
Oh yeah.
So self-help, and like that's on the rise in our economy right now. And I understand that everybody can't afford it. Some people can't get in. The wait list is super, super long. So I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what are things that we can be doing in the home, we can be doing on a day-to-day basis to help protect our mental health. And my first question would be is, what can people do to take care of their mental health on a regular basis aside from seeing a therapist daily or weekly?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because it has been a hard couple of years, hasn't it? And we've seen that with the numbers in therapy. And I think that part of the conversation is really expanding our view, our idea of what therapy is, right? So talk therapy is amazing, right? Where you go and you meet with someone and you talk, or you're with a professional who's gonna like have that skill set, right? Which is what I do to help guide you a little bit. However, I would argue, asking yourself the question is, what is therapeutic to me? What feels good for me? For some people, right, taking a self-defense class feels therapeutic. For some people, going for a walk. Yeah. Other people, getting that little extra sleep. Some people, there's a spiritual component where their faith plays a huge role in what feels therapeutic to them. And so, I think that first step is that reflective question of like, okay, so like where I'm at right now, what feels therapeutic to me? Maybe a friendship does, right? Sitting with a friend.
So I feel like, and I want you to keep going, but this is what I mean by free therapy session. So like when you're talking, I'm just thinking, where am I at right now? What do I need? And I think the one thing that is therapeutic to me is meeting with my connection group and also men's group. Like the conversations we have is so therapeutic to me, and I'm like, that helps me a lot. Like I miss that. Like on our break right now, I really miss that. I need that back. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But community too is therapeutic for me.
Yeah, it's funny. Drew, my husband's name is Drew. He just mentioned that last night. He's like, man, I really miss connecting with the guys.
For real, yeah.
Right? And I think it highlights something that, I don't think is uncommon in this past couple of years.
Absolutely.
Is that I think that there is a part of people that has emerged, right? This part that feels pretty lonely. And connection. Yes. Right, can really help forge a lot of gaps that loneliness void leaves. Yes. Because I think that, in some of the loneliness that people are feeling, there can be a lot of shame that bubbles up in those spaces that when we don't have things to fill it with, right, which COVID kind of naturally enforced this isolation, right? Things start bubbling up, right? And what do we do when they bubble up when what we normally do is no longer an option for us?
So how do we fill that space? Yeah. So I don't want them to miss it, because I think those are very practical and good. You said that question was to ask, what do I need to do that make me feel good, or I think you said something like, what feels therapeutic to me? Yeah. Like a daily activity, like something as simple as walking or taking a self-defense class. Self-defense class. So in this sped up, high-paced world, some people can't find the time to just sit still and be quiet. What are some habits that you do or that you suggest to people to just take us out? I think 5 minutes can be huge, but I'm not the expert. Let me stop answering the question. What are some habits you think they can put in place to just take some time aside to hear from themselves? Because some people can't stop their mind.
The mind goings. It goes. That's a good question. And, I find myself to most questions wanting to say it depends, right? Because it really does depend, whereas someone might need like that minute a day just to do some let me just breathe.
Yes.
Right? And just take a moment to themselves. Another person needs a full hour after work, right? To decompress. And so I think it really depends. I think, part of my profession inherently is that I really believe in people. And I believe that people really know their needs. And sometimes my job is just, asking the right questions or unlocking that key to the answers that people really already know, right? And maybe part of them is scared, right? Yeah. To do some of that reflection, scared of what they'd find, right? Yeah. So to have someone to hold that with them is good. Practical things, to circle back to your question, is I think sunlight's really healthy. Getting outside, right? Letting the sunshine hit your face for even 5 minutes a day. Little things like drinking a cup of water, right? It sounds simple, but
that's
our
really what it is.
Lives are so busy that even to have a cup of water during the day sometimes feels hard to do.
Yeah.
Sleep is really, really important, right? I see your face. You're like, yep.
I'm a night owl. And a morning person. Yep. It don't do me well.
And again, that looks different for everyone, but maybe and a lot of this is just reflecting. How am I doing on my sleep, right? And connecting with people, moving your body, right? Things like that.
And this is a broad question. So and if you don't have an answer, it's okay. Why is it so hard for us to self-reflect? Why is it so hard for us to not be honest with ourselves? Because, I'm under the belief of we make decisions out of emotion, and we don't make decisions about, we don't make right decisions all the time, like taking care of ourselves or not smoking cigarettes. We make decisions, if I was a cigarette smoker, I make the decision to smoke a cigarette because I'm stressed. I don't want to make the hard decision to, all right, I don't need a cigarette. I need to sit still. I need to figure this out some way. Why we not honest with ourselves?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I refer to a specific model of therapy when I conceptualize hard questions like that. It's called internal family systems. I won't go into too much depth with it because it's nuanced. However, I think that you've probably noticed me even in this podcast referencing these different parts of people that come up, right? So there's this lonely part, or there's this part that loves to work hard. There's a part that wants to escape and just numb out and watch TV. And then there's this part that's this go-getter part that's I'm going to work out. I'm going to do. I'm going to find success. So we all have these parts of us. And I think part of the dance that these different nuanced parts of us do are they have learned this really beautiful way of, functioning in healthy ways. And also when they're pushed to these extreme levels, they help us, in some ways when you're getting into kind of the unhealthy coping, right? Or these, I call them these extreme parts. They're taking on these extreme roles where now there's some sort of dysfunction or discomfort. I think they're doing what they know to do to help cover the parts of us that carry a lot of shame.
Yeah, and that varies from the person.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That varies from different situations and upbringings and stuff like that.
Because when we reflect and we find shame, right?
What do?
How do we sit with that, right? Because that's inherently, a story we carry with us that informs who we are. Right. And that's where I think that connection piece or therapy is huge, because to sit with someone when they are sharing about this part of them that carries this deep shame. Yeah. Right. That's powerful because it gives them the opportunity. Let's bring what's in this dark to light. To the light. Let me hold it with you. And actually let me just respond with a lot of grace and compassion. Yeah. And not pathologize it. Right.
That's why people go to therapy.
Yeah.
That's why. Right. Because y'all get paid to hold that, and they feel like they can open up to somebody who they truly love, who they truly care about, because it's not, they feel like, oh, I'm putting that on them. Now they're going to view me in this light, in this manner.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Which, it makes sense in part. I noticed this part of me, right? I'll use that language for myself that feels sad, because I'm thinking, man, what a different world it would be if we knew, or we had the skills to hold that with each other, right? And what would that look like? And I have the honor of doing that every day. I get to go hang with people and hold their stories, right? And sit with them in the depth of that. However, it would be really amazing, right, if we learned how to connect with each other on that.
If we could just turn to our partner, or our brother, or our sister. And I had one of those conversations with my little brother, because my family's kind of that way, where we bottle things up, where we don't really discuss things to the max. But I had one of those conversations last year with my little brother. The hardest conversation I had in my life. Like, we talking, both got tears running down our face. We so scared to show that person to the people we love. And it's like, when we do it, I felt so great coming out of the conversation, and he did too. I felt connected, way more connected to him. But we put up these blockers, like, oh, he's going to judge me for this, oh, he's going to judge me for that. But when we take the mask off and see what it really is, it actually brings us closer. But our culture don't allow us to do that. So my question would be for you, is to save the world. No, I'm kidding.
I wish I could. I wish I was Jesus, but...
exactly. Yeah. Was Jesus a one? No, I'm just playing.
Oh.
I'm just playing. Please don't come after me. But I guess my question would be for you, is that a practice, and not just any particular person, but your line of therapy where you try to encourage those people to go be real with the people they love on and they see every day? Is that a practice, or is that just like, oh, you'll figure it out when you want to at the end of this session?
Yeah. I think that really informs a lot of the work that I do as a marriage and family therapist. Okay. If I'm hearing your question right, it's like how does that play out in the therapy?
Yeah. Are you pushing them to go have those conversations at the end of sessions, or whenever it's time, not necessarily in one session?
Yeah. I'll say it depends, right, on the situation. Okay. However, I truly, truly believe that we're interconnected, right? And that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? And so if I'm working with an individual, right, I want to know how when you are withdrawing from your partner, right, and they're pursuing you and it makes you want to withdraw more, right? How can we look at that co-created dynamic, right, and find health within your relationships, right? And sometimes that means, hey, let's invite them in, right? Let's have this conversation together. However, I'm always empowering clients in their timing, right? And when necessary, like, hey, I think that would be a great thing to tell your mom or your dad, or what would it be like to share that with your sister or your friend, right? And we play that out in therapy. And there's a lot of different skills you can use to practice. And I do a lot of role playing, right? So, all right, if we were to put your sister on this chair right here, how might you share that with her, right? And I might model that. And so there's some skill building that, I hope people leave my room feeling equipped and empowered to, again, in their timing,
I love
have those conversations, because it's important.
I love that.
And our problems aren't born in isolation.
No, so we figured that out the hard way.
Yep.
COVID-19 ring a bell? Can you tell us some of the forgot my question. Don't you put that in the camera. So
how I would respond to that in therapy is, this is a good space to forget. We can just sit in that for a little bit.
She trying to send me a bill, y'all. How important is it to challenge the negative thoughts that go on in our head, or the negative thoughts that you hear out loud in sessions?
Yeah. Challenge is one way to go about it. What I tend to like to do with that is extend some curiosity towards it, right? So again, sticking with that parts language we talked about, okay, so there's a part of you that is holding some very negative thoughts. Could we get to know that part a little better? I'm curious what purpose it serves for you, right? A lot of us have a pretty critical part, right? That can say some pretty mean things to us. However, I might explore like, okay, what purpose is that part playing, right? If you say all the critical things to yourself before they happen, does that help protect you in some way? You know, and I think it is important to be aware and curious about them, and then we can learn, okay, is there a part of you that could come in and kind of speak some truth to those thoughts, right? And maybe challenge them a little bit, not in a shaming way, right? We don't want to shame ourselves, right? But with that compassion of like, whoa, man, that's pretty negative, right? Whether it's towards self, towards others, and you know, let's explore that.
Yeah. And one thing I've been on, I just got hip to. It's this guy named he passed. His name's Trevor Moab, something like that. He like really tracked like positive affirmations and positive thinking, and like he worked with a lot of these sports teams like Alabama and things of that sort. And what they did was they come into these programs and they say, humans, you can't stop your thought process. Like the negative thoughts that come, you can't stop it. But what you can do is verbalize it. You can stop that. So his goal was to have people not say anything negative. He said, not going to tell them not to think negative. They don't have to fake say anything positive if they're not feeling that. But we not giving power to anything negative we saying out loud. And like, since I watched that podcast he did about like how as humans, what we do is we observe and report. So like, I haven't ate yet. I'm hungry. Like, that's what I'm going to tell myself. I need to eat. Now, so like, and he was talking like, kind of like, he told a story about this guy who said in the World Series, he was like, the thing that I would hate about the World Series, if we lost the World Series on the ground ball went between my legs. He said that in an interview 12 days before the World Series started, and that's exactly how they lost Game 7. But like, I just know it's important for people to not, like, you can't stop, you can't challenge them, like you said. Embrace those and see, why is this coming? Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah, you know, and
go ahead.
To your point, there's like a lot of different ways to approach it, and I'm just sharing one, and I think that's a good example, right? Of like, what thought life are we given power to?
Yes.
A practical exercise, if you want to do it with me, I'll invite you.
Let's do it. Let's go.
I don't know. Do you feel comfortable enough to share maybe a negative thought that might enter your head?
I do.
Okay. What would that thought be?
That thought would be, everybody hates my voice. I talk with a lisp, and it's very annoying.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I tell myself.
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for sharing that and being willing to share that on the podcast, right? So
Crazy guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's brave, right? You've overcome something that has felt limiting, right?
Absolutely.
A thought, which is you hit it straight on, right? And in a sense, that's challenging a thought, right? Well, I'll show you differently. I'll start a podcast.
Exactly.
Really sweet. Thought distancing strategy is okay. So your thought was, will you repeat it again?
People, I feel like I get judged by the lisp I talk with, the way I talk, because I got some jokes cracked on me as a child.
Sure.
I wasn't complaining because I was sending them back.
Right. And see there, like, that's where we get into this, like, childhood of, like, whoa, this part emerged that's holding me probably a little bit of shame. Here, right? I was made fun of, and I could dish it back, right? Absolutely. But there's a part of you that might feel hurt. Okay, so this exercise,
feel hurt.
Yeah, right, right. So there's this hurt, yet there's this humor and ability to joke and dish it back that emerges, this part, and then this part of you that might hold this negative thought, right?
My whole life.
Yeah. So something you can do to challenge that thought, or to even, I call it distance from the thought, right? Because to your point, our brains are like thought processing machines. So it's like, cool. Our brains do what they do. They think what they think. Thoughts come in and out. They're pretty efficient. And they just like to make connections and have thoughts, right? So if you're having that negative thought, man, people don't like the way I talk. They're judging me for the way I talk, right? Let's try to distance a step from that and saying, I'm having the thought that people are judging me for how I'm speaking. You want to try that?
Do I say it out loud?
Yeah.
Give power to it?
Yeah.
I'm having a thought of people judging me from speaking when I speak.
Right. Now let's go even a step further. Right. Thanks. I know I'm doing this. I'm doing this with you.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting you on the spot. Is this feeling too vulnerable?
Let's go.
This might be something we do.
I'm up for it.
All right. So the third step in that is like, my mind is creating that one thought that it has that people are judging me for how I talk. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So we go from, right, and I see you like cringing because it's like, I don't want to give any power to saying this. Exactly. Right? Exactly. It feels uncomfortable because we're kind of giving that thought some room to breathe. Right? And there's this cool bridge statement that happens, right? So we say, okay, people are judging me for how I talk.
Yeah.
I'm having the thought that people are judging me for how I talk. My mind is creating that one thought that it comes up with from time to time that people are judging me for how I talk, right? This bridge statement is, okay, Jew, well, could we find any evidence that that thought might not be true? Right?
A lot.
And then, a lot of evidence. So we could sit and explore that, right? But that's one approach to where we're actually not going to tell it to go away. We might just invite it in and reflect on it and explore, but distance it from self to, okay, let's hold it out here, right? And if the listeners could see my hand, I'm like holding it.
They can see it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, there we go. Holding it out, right?
Yeah.
Let me just look at it. Let me be curious, right? And it's so cool how like you just reflected right there and said, oh yeah, because that thought is there because when I was little, right, we get into childhood memories.
We go straight back.
Right?
Every time.
That tends to happen. Thank you for letting me put you on the spot there. I hope that felt okay.
I felt like we finna go on Oprah next. No.
Yeah.
All right, no, cheers. Appreciate that. For I wouldn't say giving power to that thought, but giving me a grasp on that thought because I still carry it sometimes.
Sure.
So, can you give some practices that may help calm us down in a moment that we would need it the most? Like, maybe if we're frustrated. Maybe if we're sad.
Yeah, I like that question. Again, it depends, right? Like it depends, reflect on what feels good for me. I love that question of, okay, like has there been a time where my emotions have been rising and I have been able to calm them down, right? So reflect on that yourself and look for, are there any exceptions? So like if I'm experiencing a part of me that's getting really angry, has there ever been a time where I've done something to chill that anger out? I love the phrase too, Jew, motion changes emotion, right? And so
that's true.
The simple act of standing up and changing what room you're in, right? It can be as simple as that sometimes, or if there's parents listening, right? If your kid's having big emotions, right? Simply standing up and changing your space can be good. Doing 10 jumping jacks, right? Get your body moving, right? Sometimes that, right?
Release that.
Yeah. Sometimes for some people it's breathing, right? If I'm sad and I just need to focus in on my breath, right?
Yeah.
A real practical one is like that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness, right? What are 5 things I see, 4 things I hear, 3 things I can touch, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste.
I never heard of that before.
Yeah. And so that's like a really practical way. It brings us to the present moment, right? Of, okay, I'm here, I'm in the kitchen, right? These are 5 things I see, and it can kind of help. Yeah. I can see a microphone.
No, I do appreciate that. I'm gonna have to run that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I need you to shoot this over to me fast, buddy, so I can start practicing. Those are all very, very practical, and people can take with them. We do appreciate you for coming on and just sharing. How can we be better taking care of ourselves on the day to day, and just giving us a little insight from the expert. But I cannot let you go until I get my social media case study questions. I need it. So, in your own opinion, how are you affected, or how are you affected in general? By social media in any way possible, and what is your take on it?
Oh, we could do a whole nother hour on this.
We could.
I have some thoughts.
We could.
So me personally made the decision a couple years ago to actually just bow out of social media altogether.
I'm gone.
Yeah, which probably says a lot about how it impacted me. I think in my experience, it just clouded my brain. I just noticed I'm thinking about a lot of things I wouldn't be thinking about if I wasn't exposed to it. And so for me, and me personally, it just felt healthiest for me to just have a clean break from it.
And how long ago was that you said?
Oh, that was about 3 years now.
Okay.
3 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the biggest shift of energy in that 3 years for you?
I'm way more present. Yeah.
I want to be present.
Yeah.
I don't know nobody.
It's hard.
I don't know nobody walking around who says, I don't want to be present in nothing I do.
But it's this both and, right? So you my thoughts on it. I think there's a lot of great that comes from social media and 100%. How people connect.
100%.
And, I mean, COVID is a great example, right? We could FaceTime our families and see them face to face, right?
Yeah,
or, a lot of beautiful connection that happens there. And also just being aware of when it's starting to have those unhealthy effects and what
Have
boundaries.
you watched the Social Dilemma yet?
That is what I watched.
Scary.
To cut it off. That
Scary.
was my final straw.
So in the doc he said, and this one thing that stuck with me forever, people who use their FaceTime app, their Messenger app, more than they use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, are genuinely more happy than the users of these social media platforms. So and not to say Facebook hasn't done anything good ever, but Messenger, you're talking to people who you actually know, who you actually got a relationship with. FaceTime, you ain't FaceTiming no strangers, unless you into that.
Right.
But those people are genuine. And WhatsApp, FaceTime, Messenger, and WhatsApp, and they know how happy we are. They know how sad we are. They know everything about us from a device. But those FaceTime apps and the stuff that saved us from COVID. If we didn't have FaceTime during COVID, we'd have probably lost a lot more people.
Tough.
So
yeah, absolutely.
But that's I got what I needed.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, we definitely appreciate you for coming on. Definitely be back on. Just give us a little run and we'll be back. Maybe if, depending on COVID protocols, we can shoot in your office.
Sure.
At work.
Sure.
At work. Set up shop to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. But no.
That'd be great.
Taylor Zaun, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
And we will be back next week. See ya. Alright guys, if you made it all the way to this point, I want to give you a special thank you today. If the takeaways Taylor gave you today was helpful, please share this episode with a friend and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. This episode was produced by Solomon Jones of Green Astro Media, music by Headband, questions by Sammy Hakeem and Kais Randall. You guys have a good one. Till next time.